yeah, we're just gonna hop right into it. This ace queen, we raise blind versus blind. Got the king queen 8 pot with a flush draw. A lot of things you can do on the turn. We're gonna go for a check. We went for a third pot bet on the flop just because I think he's gonna call with a lot of hands, being in a tough spot. I think us betting a number of hands for the small size to really put him in a tough spot to challenge a lot of those hands and not let him sort of really, fully utilize position. It's pretty smart. On the river, I think ace queen in particular is a great hand to check call. Reason being, I think he could easily turn, if we had an ace, I think, if we had a hand like queen jack, I think betting's a little bit more reasonable. Again, I think bet and check there. You make it less likely he has a hand like an ace that floated. I'm actually even like a little bit surprised he didn't value bet there. He only really loses to like a king or pocket aces, both of which I think are on the less likely side. And I think that he can have, to call that small bet, a number of the jack high and sort of worse hands. But you could say that he's mostly betting them on the turn. So he should maybe be a little bit more polarized on the river. Anyway, I'm pretty sure this guy is a fish. We'll go ahead and give him our fish bones, fish avatar. I also think, say, hippo wine's a fish. He limps jack 8 suited on the button is, he's just posting, kind of have whatever. This is like almost like an open. Obviously, you still have to get it through him and this and that, but it's easily strong enough. Top left, we call a small raise here with 9-8. Get a pretty good flop, and you're going to go for the flop check raise. Tough for him to, a lot of his unpaired hands are not really making anything, and it's just really important to check raise and put pressure. You can check raise like a number of pairs there, a lot of high card hands, and again, I think, we've probably talked about this, but if you're sort of tuning into this video and you're not sure why you check raise there, it's because you really have to, he's betting probably like a number of his hands, the hands in his range there, and you really want to put them in a tough spot. Don't allow them bet. You can check raise the flop, and then you can, speaking of fish, you don't have to always bet the turn. You can check the turn. King jack's on the interesting side. I think it's just a check though. Flop, again, can kind of go either way. Here 9-8 3-bet is on the standard side, and c-bet also, again, small size, put that range in a tough spot. Here we face a small bet. I think king jack's reasonable spot to raise. Let's see, king queen suited also on the more interesting side. I think we're going to 4-bet. King jack is just sort of hard to find candidates to raise this with. I don't think we go super big, but I think that we're just going to have hands like an ace that will bet check back or have made 2 pair or something. And I think it's pretty likely he just has like some kind of like queen, maybe in a straw. But I don't think that hand's quite strong enough to be calling with. Picking the exact hands to bluff with there is like not super obvious. So you can kind of pick whatever. Here with king queen, we 4-bet, and we get the cold 4-bet, get the call. Tough board for him. Just really small size here is certainly the way to go. Just with your whole range, it's just, you have king queen suited, you have aces, ace king, and he's just going to have a lot of ace jack, queen jack type hands that are in just these really tough spots that don't, really know what to do. And you just gotta, it's just a great spot to just pressure with your whole range. Which honestly, I've been doing like a lot more of. I'm doing a lot more pressuring with my whole range in spots, and then also a lot of small bets on later streets and later spots. I've even been trying like some like min bets that are 25 to less percentage of the pot in spots that they fold a lot, just because I think they're supposed to up their call and raise frequency versus those types of bets, but I think they mostly don't. And I think that like there's spots that they become profitable, and like you technically probably should have some range of hands that does make small bets. So maybe one of those spots will come up too. I've certainly made, a number of these little tweaks in the last however long. So yeah, that's kind of why we're playing 4 tables. Obviously a ton of planners plan to be playing less tables. I wanted to play 4 tables today so that you could have an opportunity to see a lot of hands, and a lot of which, you know, I'll do a fair bit of ignoring, and then hopefully we'll get to some hands that I'm really interested in. I can focus on them. This is like an interesting one. This is something that I've been doing a lot of lately. Is like, and I think this is like kind of conventional, but you know, tough boards, blind versus blind, you're out of position. But again, just like a sort of, you have a definitive advantage given your range in the board. And there, I think just betting, you know, basically your whole range, and then small, or a big portion of your range small, and then checking the turn, I think is pretty good. Here are 3-bet-7s versus MP open. All right, well, okay, we both have quads with, I hope we both have the nuts here. 3-bet-7s, bet small on the flop, just hope for the best. Wow, he folds the nuts, nice. So caught him slipping or confused, playing a lot of tables, you know, this or that, reasons to do that kind of stuff. Maybe, you know, every once in a while you get him to fold the nuts. Either that, or somehow like an ace or two aces, or like a four made, what's quad or quad? Quintuples. So maybe we could have had quintuples. But probably not. Probably we just both had the nuts and got him off a chop, which is obviously pretty nice. I'm going to guess Batman 3-2-1 with $194. Probably plays for fun. Fortunate bag. Don't know. Thor 9, also don't know. Also don't know. I mean, like the way that I normally sit down and make notes is, okay, if this player is full stack on more than one table, probably a reg. And then not always, but you know, sometimes they just prove you. But I think that's like a pretty good opening thesis. Work under that framework, and then maybe adjust your opinion or position as, you know, time goes on. Oh, it's unfortunate for Marson. Looks like 4-5. What did he do with 4-5? Did check raise the flop? Well, we have ace queen, so we won't. Check real quick. So let's see. Raise, and he called with the jack-4. Well, we had quite the read. Pot to the flop, and then just jam the turn. That's the way to do it. All right, here ace queen can kind of go either way. I actually don't have my RNG up yet. I've forgotten it. I'm going to 3-bet it this time while I pull up my handy-dandy random number generator. And slide it somewhere so we can see the number. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. This queen's on the interesting side. Could really go either way. Throwing under the gun. We'll throw on the flat just because I think it can get the flat can get it kind of interesting. Like some called pots. Obviously going to have a somewhat narrow range. We're going to 3-bet this 45% of the time. So if that number on the right was between 1 and 45, we would 3-bet 5-4. It's not. We're just going to call. And eights, we're going to bet small on the flop. Around 40% of pot. Dry tough board for him. And take it down and be pretty happy about it. Here, same thing. We're going to go for the small bet. Here, if it's a check back, that's kind of interesting. Interesting. It's interesting to think about. Let's go for half pot on the turn. We're multi-way. Oh, okay. I missed that. So, okay, interesting that it's like it's this multi-way pot. I was gonna say, if it's a heads up pot, you expect him to bet there quite often. He's not. Here we face a really small turn raise. This, I mean, I have no information on this player, but this strikes me as like a player trying to make a showdown raise. So we're going to come over the top for a small raise. Not let him do that and hope for the best. And ace king. It's an okay board for us. Yeah, okay board for us. We can really mix it up with strategies and all kinds of stuff here. Kind of expecting to see middle pair or weaker queen here. I think it's mostly a middle pair. Yeah. This is mostly like a 7 or like 8s or something like that. Ace 4, check it down, lose the queen. 9. Ace king, check it down. Interesting spot if he goes for the bet check bet. Goes for the check. Check lose. Ace queen of hearts. Yeah, no other way to play that really. I guess you could bet the turn, but it feels like basically other than ace king, all better hands call, worse hands fold. So I don't know, precarious situation. You can maybe bet it sometimes. I don't think betting the river is all that hot. I do think betting the turn is decent. Give yourself the opportunity to make the flush and then bet again on the river, which seems pretty good, especially when there's a number of straight draws you'll be calling that flop with. One thing I'll say it's kind of interesting about the ace king there is that it's a pretty low ranking hand. So it will oftentimes be on many different turns be turned into a bluff, even though it's sort of like ace high. It's like blocks ace jack, blocks king jack, has some like sort of overcard potential. I think you're check folding that flop some percentage of the time. And so when you are making the ace king, I mean, you're never really check folding ace king of clubs there. Especially with the backdoor flush draw. So betting is definitely a great way to get it into a bet range. And then, yeah, it's certainly, be turning it into a bluff in some spots.